last week, and the topic kept coming up about how the fact that their sales were down 30% year over year. And they kept saying, like, man, people just don't want to spend any money. They're not spending any money this year. And I don't know why. And part of what I had to explain to them was that the fact that people just don't have any money. They're broke. There's another aspect to it. There's a lot less people around than there were even a couple of years ago. The population shift is real and it's happening, but it also comes down to the fact that there is a sizable minority, and in some cases, majority of people within a given area who are living paycheck to paycheck. And we're going to take a look at some information from MLive here for Michigan, but it extrapolates out to the entire country and frankly around the rest of the planet as well too, that we misinterpret and do not understand how difficult and how tragic it is right now for a again sizable minority, if not majority, of people within an area. So let's go take a look at that here in a second. So again, for those that don't know, my name is Ryan Howe. I'm a business coach and exit planner that works out of West Michigan around the country. I come here live on YouTube pretty consistently every single day, sharing information I share with my clients, and I hope to earn your subscription. So let's look at this here. So this is from mlive.com. Link is in the description. Be sure to go check them out. Now, how many households live paycheck to paycheck in each Michigan county? Now, the other last week, I had a very similar article where we were talking about the shift between the balance between seasoned citizens and our basically folks under 18 for kids, right? The youths, as they would say, and that how that has gone from a 4-to-1 ratio from youths to seasoned citizens. It is now where there are more seasoned citizens than youths in most counties in Michigan. It is uh, again, all this stuff is flipped on a head, and and folks, we're going to need to be able to provide a level of service for all these boomers too, which we just don't have the people for. All right, so let's talk about this here. So 41% of Michigan households faced financial instability in 2023. Again, this is off of some recent data. It takes every couple of years to really be able to go through this, and I want to be able to show this for my clients because this data hasn't, if anything, it's gotten worse, right? Inflation ticked up, inflation continued on. And while, yes, the prices of eggs have gone down, everything else is still, everything still stayed high. It is what it is, right? That is what it is. That's reality, is what I want to say. So, what does it mean here? So, we're gonna get over what Alice means in a second, but here's the folks that are above Alice threshold. So, that's about 60%. We got 14% in poverty, and then 27% are what are going to be Alice. We're going to tell you what Alice means right here in a second. So, Alice stands for asset limited, income constrained, and employed, right? Asset limited, income constrained, and employed. So, this is the working poor. When you hear the phrase working poor, Alice is the economic term for it. And you got, again, here folks in poverty, the folks that just aren't working. Then you have people here, which I wish there was one more slice of the pie here to be able to say, barely got one nostril above water, getting some oxygen, but all they need is one tiny issue with their vehicle and they're back at the Alice level. Like that's I bet you that slice is probably somewhere around here. It's of this 60%, it's probably half are right there. One minor issue from going back down. Okay. So the minimum cost of living, folks, if you haven't ever seen these numbers, this is another education piece where I'm having to educate business owners as well as a reminder of where the statistics are at. The minimum cost for basic living in Michigan in 2023 was just shy of $29,000 for a single adult and 74,500 for a family of four. Using a threshold calculated, blah blah blah. 1.67 million Michigan households were living paycheck to paycheck in 2023. That is that again, it breaks my heart. It really does. Now there's a level of those folks that are they're brand new adults, right? From, 18 to a certain age where you live paycheck to paycheck because you're brand new as being an adult. But there's an awful lot of folks that are, you know, that have family of four that are in that area that they are barely making ends meet. And they are paycheck to paycheck. Most months, for most of the time, there's more month than paycheck. Right, that happens. Now, all right. federal poverty line in 2023 was $14,000, 14,580 for an individual and 30 grand for a family of four. By that measure, 14% are living in poverty. We talked about that. Now, let's take what I want to take a look at here is some of the issues we have here, where they talk about here, right? Housing affordability continues to be a challenge in Michigan, and basic costs continue to outpace wages in low wage jobs, the report said. Since 2010, Alice households have increased by 18%. In Michigan during that time, total number of households increased 7%, and the number of households in poverty decreased by 3%. Okay, so the poverty went down, folks moved into the working poor. That's really what's happened here. And it's just so challenging to look at. You can see here, it's been pretty static for the most part. You'll see some of these are some of the worst, the hardest hit, I should say, that they're having. Clare County, look at that explosion since 2010. Lake County, and you see most of them are kind of just hanging out the same. You have a few that have bumped up here and there. Things to keep in mind, you're going to see this. So Wayne County, for those who don't, we're going to look at the map. It's right next to Detroit. So since 2010, you can see there's been a little bit of a bump up there, but the percentage is just crazy. So let's take a look at the map here. The darker the blue, the worse it is. Now, you have places like here, Grand Traverse County. Okay. This is an area Grand Traverse County has, it's a wealthy spot. They have a lot of industry, but it's also a tourist haven, and there's a lot of manufacturing that goes on up there. Down here is where our again, Grand Rapids is at, near Grand Rapids. And then we got Livingston. This is basically Ann Arbor adjacent, right? So we got Ann Arbor, and then you got Michigan State, right? These are right here, the two college towns. Then you get into Detroit. But look at right here, Wayne County in Detroit. Over 50% are below, basically below the Alice standard. That's just so frustrating. And I live up here. I live up here in Mason County, which is at 41%. We have had an almost 10% increase in the number of homes that are in that Alice standard there. So, all right, let me go back to here. So, what am I doing with my clients on this? This is really where it comes back to. Is like, okay, cool. We know people are broke. Well, the vast majority of business owners forget about that, and this is the issue that we're having to work. And I mean, they do. They forget the fact that people are broke. I have this conversation a lot, including their employees are living paycheck to paycheck. So a lot of the discussions we have are like, okay, that right now, what is more impactful for our your employees? Like, really, what is more impactful? Is it going to be a pay raise? Is it going to be benefits? I don't know the answer. Like that, really, it really does come down to that. Like I'm not sure the answer, and it is almost an employee by employee conversation. But what I want people to understand and want them thinking about from a business standpoint is that knowing that their people are hurting, knowing that their people are struggling, but also knowing that the business also has to stay afloat. How do you balance the need to ensure that you are taking care of the business, managing risk, and also providing for your employees in a safe and risk managed way? Is that's what we get into here? Is like, so there's a lot of folks are very very frustrated and very upset that they want the pay raise, they want their money, they want more money, which I get, completely understand that piece there. The issue we run into though is that there is a limited amount of capital available. And how do we balance that to help the local economy, right? That's the piece that we're going with, because this isn't going to be a government solve. And that's the other side when I was talking with these these small business owners, some large employers, is that if we're going to solve the local economy, it's not going to be through government intervention. Just not. It's not what's going to happen. We have to innovate, but we also have to find a way to make sure that there is a the proportion of money that is in that businesses are generating, that a healthy amount goes back to the folks that they can spend locally to ensure that there are jobs, which means more people who will be shopping local, which will be more money coming into the economy, right? So that's the issue. There's a tendency to want to go almost hedgehog and just kind of hide and protect everything during this point, which is what businesses are doing. I'm actively trying to say, I'm an elected official too. Like in my area, I've twice elected, so I have a couple different posts that I sit at, and so from that side, I'm also trying to inspire business owners to ensure that they are hiring as many people as they can. They are paying the wages that they should be paying, and that we are working in concert with the local companies on everything that we can to, again, keep everybody employed. So that's where we're at, folks. It's not that people don't want to spend. It's not the case. If people had the money, they'd be spending. It's just what people do. Folks just don't have it. And you can see from that in my area and just around, it's 41% here in Michigan are living paycheck to paycheck. It is nearly impossible to have a growing and robust and resilient economy when 41% of the people are living paycheck to paycheck. And of that 41%, 30% of those folks are below the poverty line. That's what we're at. That's what we're currently living through here, folks. So for small businesses, it's tough out there. The people that you depend on as far as for clients to come in, customers, they don't have any money. So you, again, as I'm saying, we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to help meet people where they're at. And the worst thing that we have coming here, folks, it's gonna rear its ugly head, is gonna be deflation. You guys probably aren't familiar with that and what that does to an economy. But the moment we start having deflation, i.e., businesses have to continue to lower prices, it's a bad downward spiral, and it leads to a pretty stark recession. And I think we're getting close to that. It's kind of what I'm talking with my clients about. So, all right, not exactly the brightest, sunshiniest video for Monday. So, with that, again, if you're interested in how I help businesses not just grow, but also I help business owners build valuable companies that buyers want to purchase, there's a link down to the Value Builder assessment in the description. Be sure to go check that out. You also want to just learn more about me, go to summitbusinessguides.com. Hopefully, I earned your subscription today. Okay, take care, and I'll see you next time.